At 61, the tragedy of Greg Gutfeld is beyond heartbreaking. I didn't expect to feel this conflicted about him. He jokes about everything, like nothing really gets to him. But the truth? That humor might be hiding more than we realize. And once I started looking closer, it stopped feeling like just comedy. Let me start somewhere people don't usually look. Not on Gutfeld, not the headlines, not the punchlines, but the version of Greg Gutfeld before all of that. Because he didn't start out as the loudest voice in the room. He was quieter, observant, more of a writer than a performer. And honestly, that matters. Because people who build their identity through words usually have something deeper going on underneath. Now jump forward. Magazines, satire, a style that wasn't trying to fit in. And I remember thinking, this doesn't feel like someone chasing approval. This feels like someone pushing against it. Then television. And suddenly, he's not just writing anymore. He's the face, the voice. And that changes things. Because once you become the face of something, you don't get to step back easily. Now here's where the story shifts. Because the more visible he became, the more defined he had to be. Clear opinions, strong tone, always on. And I kept thinking, what does that do to a person? To always be that version of yourself? Every night. No off switch. Because even when it looks effortless, it's still performance. And performance takes something. Now let's talk about something quieter. His personal life. His marriage to Elena Musa. Private. Very private. And I noticed that. Because for someone so public, he keeps that part almost completely hidden. In that contrast, it tells you something. Because usually when people protect something that much, it matters. A lot. Now here's the part that surprised me. Because behind the sarcasm, there's a pattern. Self-awareness. Moments where he admits things indirectly. Through jokes. Through comments that sound casual, but aren't. And I kept thinking, that's not random. That's controlled vulnerability. Just enough to release pressure, but not enough to fully open up. And that's where it starts to feel heavy. Because when humor becomes the filter for everything, you don't always deal with what's underneath. You just redirect it. And over time, that builds. Now, here's the thing. There isn't one big dramatic moment in his story. No single event that defines everything. And maybe that's what makes it different. Because sometimes, the weight isn't one tragedy. It's the constant pressure of being seen, of being judged, of having to show up as the same version of yourself over and over again, and never really stepping out of it. And I didn't expect that to feel so real. Because from the outside, it looks like success, control, confidence. But inside, it might feel very different. Now at Shazjishan Yedin, he's still doing it, still sharp, still consistent, still showing up every night. But I keep coming back to this thought. How much of that is him? And how much of it is the version he has to be? Because living like that for years, decades, that's not easy. And maybe that's the real story here. Not a visible tragedy, not something obvious, but something quieter. A life where humor became armor, where performance became identity, and where the real person stays just out of reach. And honestly, that might be the hardest kind of story to understand, because you can watch it every day and still never fully see it.